As most of you already know, the story of Andromeda centers around multiple massive ships called arcs that have traveled all the way from the Milky Way galaxy to their neighboring Andromeda. It's later on in the main story of the game that we come to learn that the reason for this initiative in the first place was some sort of contingency plan, allowing most of the advanced races a way of survival should the Reapers succeed in their mission to exterminate all intelligent life in the Milky Way. It's a very cool, if not a little obvious reveal, but more importantly, it then begs the question, why was this not thought of before, in previous Reaper extinction cycles? But you see, that's just the thing. We don't actually know that it wasn't. We can already see examples of previous cycles following the same path to extinction across multiple civilizations working on things, like the Crucible. In fact, if anything, the Protheans in their timeline had managed to become even more advanced than the current one Shepard lies in, as they are the ones who finally broke the cycle of the Keepers initiating doom on the Citadel. When we start to think about it logically, it seems very likely over the countless cycles that other civilizations have tried to escape from our Milky Way prison. And if they were successful, then the even more intriguing thought of what happened to them becomes evident. The Angara and Ket in Andromeda bear striking resemblance to the Protheans in the original trilogy. Could they be descendants from a similar Prothean arc tens of thousands of years ago? And even more interestingly, could these arcs of other long-lost aliens have found out more about the Reapers and the galaxy from far, far away? A potentially intriguing concept for a new Mass Effect to dive into. The Mass Effect universe is full of many interesting and lesser-known species that we don't get to dive into as much detail as many of the Council races. And one of the most obscure examples of this is the Ralloy. Introduced in the final installment of the original trilogy, the Ralloy are a tall bird-like alien species that hail from the planet Terves, which funnily enough we are never able to locate on the galaxy map throughout the series. Originally spotting an Asari cruiser over their home planet, the Ralloy eventually make contact and are introduced to the Citadel, where they were promptly fitted with high-tech spacesuits to protect other races from the avian flu that they promptly started spreading early on. Right as the Ralloy started having discussions with the Council, though, they immediately fled, seeing the incoming Reaper invasion that happens at the start of Mass Effect 3, and all fled back to their homeworld, destroying their satellites and all high-level tech they had developed previously in a final gambit to hope the Reapers would leave them alone and not find them. This is because the Reapers, on their harvest every 50,000 years, only kill sufficiently intelligent organic species, so the Ralloy fled in an attempt to hide and lay low until the next cycle. As to whether the Reapers would have killed the Ralloy had Shepard not succeeded in stopping them, it's hard to say, but it does beg the question of whether any other previous civilizations had been fortunate enough to trick the Reapers. Considering that the Ralloy only just found the Citadel, it may in fact be possible. Either way though, it's sad we never get to see these beautiful bird people in-game. Asari are a common fan favorite Mass Effect alien, for reasons. But what if I told you that Asari don't actually look like this? You see, in a short conversation we can listen in on in Mass Effect 2 on Ilium, between a Salarian, Turian, and human, we find out that each species actually sees Asari in their own image. This means that these human-like Asari that we see throughout Mass Effect only look like that because they are mimicking what our brains want to see. As we already know through encounters with Liara in the first game and the Ardok Yashi Morinth in the second, Asari have a strong capability to control the minds of others, making us see and hear things that aren't really there. So this begs the question then, what do Asari actually look like? And could this also be why all Asari are seen as female? As females are commonly regarded as the fairer sex for most alien species in Mass Effect. These implications become scary when we realize that many of our original assumptions about the Asari race could actually just be clever manipulations by them to control us. We know that Asari children are always born Asari, regardless of what species they have mated with. So maybe the Asari are actually a parasitic race that is trying to feed on the galaxy by tricking other species into mating with them, ultimately to grow their influence. However, we do see some Asari statues at their temple in Thessia in Mass Effect 3, and these statues do in fact look like the human-like Asari we're used to, but this could just once again be more manipulation and tech even on the statues on their home planet. If these theories are true though, that would have some very damning consequences for characters we love like Liara, who may in fact be parasitic, blood-sucking monsters out to take over the whole galaxy. Or I'm just crazy. For those paying very close attention to the original Andromeda marketing campaign, it became apparent early on that some of the promotional material had explosions that very closely resembled the explosion of the Citadel mass relay at the end of Mass Effect 3. We know this relay was much more powerful than others, and even had the ability to transport the Reapers to and from dark space instantaneously. So when it exploded at the end of the trilogy, the resulting blast enveloping the entirety of the Milky Way was not too out of left field. However, the wormhole theory actually postulates that this explosion not only damaged or transformed the entire Milky Way galaxy, but actually ripped a hole in space-time itself and created a massive gravitational well that could have transported many inhabitants to the nearby Andromeda galaxy, for which we see the explosion in the marketing material. To further support this, in the ending cutscene of Mass Effect 3, we actually see Joker and some of the Normandy squad surviving the Citadel explosion and crash landing on some sort of unknown planet in a jungle. Could this planet actually be the same overgrown jungle planet we see in Mass Effect Andromeda? We may never know for sure. The Rachni are one of the coolest creatures in all of Mass Effect. We originally encounter them in some sort of horror reveal on Noveria in Mass Effect 1, and throughout the series, especially in Mass Effect 3, they play a pivotal role in potentially helping you take down the Reapers. Over the entire series though, the Rachni always stayed shrouded in mystery somewhat, and we never truly find out about their origins, real motives, or entire history in the past. What we do know is that at some point the Rachni were a huge threat to the entire galaxy, prompting the Council to unleash the Krogan warriors on them to finally drive them to extinction. This is actually one of the main drivers for the start of the Genophage as well, as it empowered the Krogan to demand more say in Council politics. But as to where the Rachni even came from, we have no idea. An egg was found on a derelict ship that was revived at Noveria, and that is about all the info we get. This is where it gets really interesting though. You see, the Rachni Queen in Mass Effect 1 remarks about how her song has been soured, and this has resulted in a problem with her speaking to her children. We learn here that the Rachni Queens actually communicate and control the Horde through some sort of sound waves, and that something has caused this signal to sour. And interestingly, another being in the galaxy we know that responds to signals is actually the Keepers on the Citadel, who respond to the Reaper's signal to originally help them teleport through a mass relay on the Citadel. So could it be that the Rachni were being affected by this Reaper signal? And if they were, could this mean that they have some sort of connection to the Reapers? Maybe the Reapers were using them as some sort of help to keep the galaxy weak enough for their eventual arrival. This potentially got further clarification as well in the Mass Effect 3 Leviathan DLC, where it is implied by an Alliance scientist that the Rachni in fact may have been controlled by the Leviathans as a plan from them to stop the Reapers, and that the Reaper signal could have disrupted their control.